Welcome back to the Fuel Show. It's now time for our very first Behind the Wheel of 2007. We're going to take a look at the Chrysler Aspen. It's not the first time the Aspen's been around. In fact, in 1976, there was a Dodge Aspen. It was Motor Trend's Car of the Year that same year, but it only lasted until 1980. The Aspen shares its name with the original 76, but this time it's Chrysler's first SUV.
Q Factor is up first for the new Aspen. It's a first venture in the luxury SUV for Chrysler, and it's got the power liftgate, it's got the Hemi. That's kind of Q Factor, but I think overall it wasn't quite what I expected for a $40,000 SUV.
Well, I don't know what you expected, Ian. I mean, I looked at it and I saw tidbits from the 300. I saw the great navigation system. I saw a great Pioneer supplied audio system, controls on the steering wheel, and the auto start system. I mean,
true.
How great is it on a cold day to walk out, stick your arm out the window, pow, the car started. I thought that was not only a great factor, but also the way that everything kind of mixed together is way the driver could control everything without moving his hands off the wheel.
That's true. I think we're going to have to kind of agree to disagree, because I think for a $40,000 luxury vehicle, something that's first out from Chrysler, they might want to push the envelope, get something a little bit snazzier than they had this time. But overall, I think it's a pretty solid score. Dennis would rate it higher than I would.
I might. I think that you're being a little picky.
4 maybe?
Okay.
Curb Appeal's our next score, and well, you take a Durango and you made it with an Escalade, and I think that's kind of what you had. It's got the big 20s, it's got the new front fascia, kind of a polished up Durango look in a way.
I think it's better than that. I really do. I think that the lines on the hood give it a class factor that you really have to find with the Chrysler versus the Dodge. Now, I see your reference to the Escalade. I know that Cadillac is the upscale for Chevrolet, but let's remember, people who have bought Chryslers over the last few years have been impressed with their styling and the way that they look. When you take those little kind of bits and pieces and you spread them over a full-size Escalade type body, boom, what do you get? You get a Chrysler Aspen. I think they're going to like it, and I think that sales are going to show it.
Well, I think it is kind of, the Durango would be the working man's version, and the Aspen would be the businessman's version, just kind of like the Escalade and the Yukon or whatever.
Okay.
But I think overall they do a pretty good job. It does have that general Chrysler feel to it. Pretty solid score, I think, for Curb Appeal.
Well, what are you going to score it, Ian?
3.75. Performance is up next for the Aspen from Chrysler, and well, it comes standard with the 4.7-liter V8, but it's also got the optional 5.7-liter Hemi.
Yeah, and that's the real trick to this thing. 335 horsepower and 370 pounds-feet of torque. There isn't a single Chrysler dealership in the world that's going to stock one of these with the standard 4.7. They're all going to be ordered with the Hemi. They're all going to be ordered with every option you can stick on them. Well, maybe not the DVDs or some of the other systems you can get, but be realistic. If you're going to buy it and it's already going to be 40 grand, why not make it 44 and get the Hemi? Now, one other thing to note is the 28J. Do you know what the 28J is?
I have no idea.
That's the optional.
I know what a Z28 is.
No, that's a little bit different, but it's the optional transfer case. You can get a 2-speed transfer case that has a low range in case you actually want to do some off-roading with the vehicle, but I really doubt anyone will.
See, I look at it from the other perspective. It's going to be a soccer mom who had a Durango. She wants to get it polished up a little bit. Going to go to the Aspen, doesn't care about the Hemi, doesn't want to burn the gas. You know, I think it's going to be stocked half and half.
I think that you're right. But for score?
3.75. Moving along to fit and finish, and it's the overall build quality of a vehicle, and well, it's built by Chrysler.
I think you're being biased.
No.
Not a little bit?
A little bit.
Okay, listen, Chrysler has never been known for building the best vehicles in the world. It's not that they're not put together well, it's just some of the finished materials. I mean, the dash feels like plastic from something I had that was a Star Wars figure. I mean, why can't they pick better materials? This thing is $44,000, folks. If I buy that kind of vehicle with that kind of money in hand, I want something that feels a little nicer. The problem is, it drives great, it looks great, I think. I think it has some really great items that make it whiz bang, but you get in it and you just feel some of the materials and it's just not up to snuff for something.
Yeah, it's like a Mona Lisa, you know? It looks great from across the room, you get up all close and it's like, I don't know. Like simulated wood in a $44,000 truck doesn't make sense.
It's an interesting quandary.
Yeah, a quandary?
Well, score the vehicle.
All right, let's go ahead and go 3.25 on fit and finish. Finally, drivability for the Chrysler Aspen, and well, for the first venture for Chrysler for a luxury SUV, not bad, I would say. It's got the V8, it's got 8-passenger room in it, but it's got really bad gas mileage and not quite what I expected for a $44,000 luxury SUV.
And I think you're onto something. This is exactly what I was touching on the last segment. They have all these little items that come together, but don't really complete the vehicle. It's like buying the greatest tobacco to roll the best cigar in the world and then never smoking it. I just don't understand how they can't bring it all together and just finish off the product just a little bit. It would make it so much better.
Well, you have to look at it like the previous Durango buyer wants to move up in class, so you have to look at buying it from those eyes.
And I think those eyes will buy it.
I think so. We'll have to give it a 4 for drivability.
This is how Dennis and Ian scored the 2007 Chrysler Aspen. For Q Factor, it got a 4.0. For curb appeal, a 3.75. Performance was another 3.75. And fit and finish, it got a 3.25. Finally, in drivability, the 2007 Chrysler Aspen got a 4.0. That's a total of 18.75 out of a possible 25. When we return, we're going to take a look at our second behind the wheel. It's going to be the Mitsubishi Outlander. It's the second generation for this vehicle. And then in our In the Pit segment, we're going to be wheeling with the guys from 4 Wheel Parts Performance Center.
The Fuel Show is made possible by the Russ Auto Group, Baxter Auto Parts, Northside Ford, 4 Wheel Parts Performance Center, Grand Prix Imports, and Ray Reese Dealerships.